Hey everybody, as promised, I'm back to do my August wrap-up and my September TBR for you all. So the month of August was not a really good reading month for me. In fact, for about 2 weeks in that month, I was reading the same book, and it was a really, really good book. I wasn't reading at all, except for maybe like a couple days here and there. So let's just go through what I read in August so that I can quickly get to the September books, because I made a rather large September TBR pile. I'm kind of going to push myself this month and try for more books. The first book I finished in the month of August was Rebel Spring by Morgan Rhodes. This is book 2 in the Fallen Kingdoms series, and this book was even better than the first one. It's quickly becoming one of my favorites up there, and this is one of the reasons that I'm really into YA fantasy right now. Like, all I want to read right now is YA fantasy, although I have been reading some contemporary here and there, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But I gave Rebel Springs 5 out of 5 stars. Since it got me in the mood to read more YA fantasy, I then picked up Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. This is the first book in the Remnant Chronicles, and once again, I fell in love with this book. It did take me a little bit of time to get into it. Maybe the first like 100 pages or so, I wasn't sure if I would like it, but after that, I really, really enjoyed it. This is the one that did take me a couple weeks to read, and it wasn't like there was anything wrong with this book. There wasn't anything wrong with the pacing or the story. I just was not in the mood to read at all, so I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars only because it did take me a little bit of time to get into the story, but once I did, really, really enjoyed it. The ending, I cannot wait to read the second book in this. Cannot wait! I'm sure I mentioned this many, many times, but I had a booktube manga club on Goodreads. I will leave the link down below, and for the month of August, we were reading the Fullmetal Alchemist series by Hiromu Arakawa. This is a 27-volume long series, although I believe the entire series is out in the bind-ups now. I did not get to finish reading all of them, but I finished a lot more than I thought I would. I finished the first bind-ups, which has volumes 1 through 3, the second bind-up, which has 4 through 6, the third bind-up, which has 7 through 9, the fourth book, which has 10 through 12, and I actually managed to finish book 5, which is volumes 13 through 15. So I've read all of these. Now, I did read these during the summertime as well. I want to say back when I purchased them in like March or April, but I do have the rest of the series with the exception of the last bind-up, and I did want to finish reading those, so possibly gonna go into September with these, but I'm not too sure because we have another manga that we switched to reading for September, and I will get to that when we get to the TBR pile. But 5 out of 5 stars. One of the best manga series out there. If you haven't read this one and you're interested in starting a manga series, this is definitely one that you will not regret reading. You will not regret picking up. And then the last 2 things I read were graphic novels, and that was volumes 3 and volume 4 of the Lock and Key series by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. Really quick, I read both of these in one sitting in one day. This series is quickly becoming one of my favorite graphic novel series, and I'm thinking of repurchasing them in the hardcovers, but I'm not too sure. For now, I'll stick with the paperbacks, but 5 out of 5 for those as well. I read very minimal books in August, but I have to say that I was very pleased with every single one of them, and I gave none of them lower than 4.5 stars. So I think that's a win in itself right there. So for September's TBR pile, I decided to go a little bit ambitious and try to read more. So I have 7 novels on that, and then a manga series that I'm going to show you. The first book I'm going to read, and I'm actually in the middle of reading it right now, is Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. I just got this book on Tuesday on the release date, and I've already started it, and it's gonna happen. I'm off today. It's pretty early. It's only about noon right now, so after I finish filming today, I'll edit really quickly and then spend the rest of the day reading this puppy. So the next one I plan on picking up after that is Isla and the Happily Ever After by Stephanie Perkins. I just finished Lola and the Boy Next Door last night, and I really enjoyed it. Not the best contemporary romance that I've read ever, but still really good. So I want to check this one out, and then I will be all caught up with the Stephanie Perkins books. So yes, I can't wait to get to that one. I then decided I wanted to finish a series, and since I'm into the YA fantasy right now, I was planning on picking up Rune and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. This is the 3rd and final book in the Grisha trilogy, and it's the only one I have left, and I cannot wait to pick it up. I don't know why I didn't pick it up last month, but again, I wasn't reading too much, and so this will get read. This will probably be actually after Heir of Fire. We'll have to see if I'll feel like a contemporary after that or not, but this is gonna get read this month. I then want to pick up an adult fantasy, so I plan on moving forward with the Codex Alara series with book 3, Cursor's Fury by Jim Butcher, and I'm really enjoying this. I actually am still in the middle of book 2, so that actually needs to get finished before I can start this one, but hopefully I will start this one in September as well. I am really enjoying it, like I said, but my lack of reading has slowed down my pace on that book, but I am like 3/4 of the way in, so I should finish it pretty soon, and then I can start this one. This next one has been sitting on my shelf for probably a year and a half now, and that is Grave Mercy by Robin Lefevre. This is the first book in the His Fair Assassins series, and like I said, I've had this on my shelf for a year, maybe a year and a half now, and I'm into the whole young adult fantasy right now, so I really want to pick this up. And if I happen to read all of those and still have time to read more, I was thinking of picking up The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. Recently, a couple of my favorite booktubers have picked this book up and said it's amazing, so I do want to pick it up very soon and start it myself. Although I'm not sure how I feel about the synopsis just yet because it hasn't quite pulled me in to want to read it. But I do trust the booktubers I watch, and they say it's really good, so we'll have to see. And last but certainly not least, for the month of September, the BookTube Manga Club has decided to read Sailor Moon by Naoko Takeuchi. And I have this first box set, and I just ordered the second box set a couple days ago, so it should be coming in the mail soon. There are 12 volumes to this total. If you want to join in on this read-along, I will leave a link to it down below, and of course anybody is welcome to join. I have already actually read the first 3 or 4 volumes in this when I got this box set like 2 months ago, but I'm willing to reread it because it is the pick of the month for the club, and I've kind of forgotten where I left off anyways, like what was happening when I left off. So that was all for my August wrap-up and my September TBR. Thanks for watching. As always, if you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below. What are you guys all reading in September? Let me know, and I will talk to you guys later.